Well, good evening, everyone. So please hang on one last time, or you will miss one of the most interesting presentations. So first, I would like to say this is very impressive to present our work in such a place. So we are Group E. This is Olaf, Paolo, Dionysos, and myself, Hubert. And our task was to describe and analyze the different activities to guarantee safety of the two main international nuclear agencies, which are the IAEA and WANO. So most of the group have talked about these activities or mentioned them. Here they're going to be detailed a little more. So our second task was also to find some new ways of improvement for these activities. So we divided our work like this. At first, we're going to do a brief presentation of the two agencies based on their history. Then Dionysos and myself are going to talk about the IAEA activities for safety. And in the second part, Olaf and Paolo will describe the activities of WANO. Of course, we will conclude on how all of these activities can be improved and made more efficient. So first, the International Atomic Energy Agency was founded at the initiative of President Eisenhower for his project Atom for Peace. Of course, it was during the Cold War, so many negotiations had to be made with the Soviet Union. But in 1957, the agency was finally built. We can note that it now belongs to the United Nations, and in 2005, it received the Nobel Prize for Peace. The three main missions of the IAEA are, first, to develop new tools for the use of nuclear, such as scintigraphy for medicines, or sterilization in the food distribution, or in our case, production of electricity with nuclear power plants. Its second mission, and maybe one of the most important, is the verification of the Non-Proliferation Treaty, such as no country in the world is developing nuclear weapons. And at the end, in our case, we will study the safety and security. And to stay in the context of our course, we decided to focus mostly on the management and leadership, which are the core values to have a good safety system. For the World Association of Nuclear Operators, after the Chernobyl accident, people realized that radiation matters and radioactive materials knows no border. So companies and nuclear power plants gathered in order to exchange information and give support to each other. This can be technical support or human support. And so now the WANO represents more than 144 companies and more than 200 nuclear power plants in the world. His main goal is to promote the excellence in safety. So now I will let Dionysos present you the first activities of the IAEA.
Thank you. In order to promote exchanges in education and training and knowledge, the IAEA has developed the Education and Training Review Service. IAEA, through ETRES, supports member states to establish and preserve an adequate training system by providing methodology and detailed guidance using an extensive set of assessment criteria. In the first phase of the ETRES, the self-assessment of the member state program takes place and identification of possible needs. In the second phase, an international peer review of the result is being conducted, though in the third phase, a report is issued after consultation with the member state, which includes an action plan for short-term improvements and long-term improvements. The ETRES service is conducted by a team that is composed by IAEA and international experts with member state national counterparts. There is a team leader, team coordinator, and 2 to 4 external reviewers. The key areas that are addressed by the ETRES are the basis and framework for nuclear safety education and training that covers all aspects that influence education and training needs and the system for fulfilling those needs, competencies and training in nuclear safety that covers all capabilities and training required to develop competencies in nuclear safety, and the maintenance and improvement of competencies and training. Now I will make some improvement proposals for the ETRES service. A major improvement would be if member states, in collaboration with IAEA, would establish a framework of repeated ETIAS missions after an agreed certain number of years in order for the implementation of recommendations suggesting a general review of the plan for long-term actions to be made, the possible further issues to be revealed, and serve as input for the improvement of IAEA safety standards. The main purpose of the Operational Safety Review Team, OSART, and Independent Safety Culture Assessment, ISCA, are to provide assistance into a specific nuclear power plant into improving the operating safety and strengthen its safety culture. The OSART starts always by request from a member state to IAEA. During the first phase, a pre-meeting takes place 12 months before the actual on-site mission in order for OSART team members and nuclear facility decision makers to decide and agree upon the objectives and format of the mission. The nuclear power facility has 12 months to make a self-assessment of its operating safety systems and correct any possible issues. In the second phase, the actual on-site mission takes place. It's a 3 weeks mission where all OSART experts review all areas of safety, of nuclear safety, by observing operating activities and reviewing personnel. In the third phase, an evaluation report is issued, which is made public after a short period of time. Now, 18 months after the OSART mission, a follow-up visit is led by IAEA to review the progress of improvements. In this graph, we can see an estimation on how OSART missions improve safety in about 100 nuclear power plants. It is obvious how the number of resolved cases has been increased and how the number of withdrawn cases has been decreased. Now for the OSART team. In the OSART team, there is, on the current moment, one expert reviewing each area. Of course, observer can also be present within the OSART team. And the most important thing is, though, that each member of the OSART team must have great experience in the nuclear field in order to forecast possible issues, to adapt to different situations, and to give important advice to the nuclear facility decision makers. A major part of an OSART of IAEA is to evaluate and strengthen the safety culture inside a nuclear facility. That's why an ISCA service is a part of an OSART mission. The ISCA process is based on a scientific approach on safety culture, but always takes into account its accordance to the IAEA safety standards. It uses several assessment methods, like interviews, technical expert findings, and reviews of operational documents. The Joint Operational Safety and Safety Culture Assessment provide important opportunity of a better understanding of how operational, organizational, technical, and cultural aspects interact with each other. The host nuclear facility can use information and advice from IAEA in order to take action and resolve root causes of identified problems, as well as improving and strengthening its safety culture in any ways needed so as to meet the IAEA safety standards. Now, I will propose some improvements for the joint OSART-ISCA missions. A major improvement would be if OSART-ISCA teams provide always feedback to IAEA due to significant differences between nuclear power plants and several different management programs. In order for the evaluation to be conducted better and the misevaluation due to natural cultural influences be prohibited, the number of experts review each area should be increased at least by 2 per area with different nationality, so that an objective appraisal would be acquired. Another proposal would be if the 3 weeks would be increased to more time for the on-site missions. IAEA should continually strengthen the cooperation with WANO in order to enhance information exchanges on operating experience safety management. as a final proposal, and it's very important, IAA should always improve mechanisms that enhance communications and interactions among operating organizations to avoid redundancies and to be more efficient.
So Dionysos just presented services to evaluate safety at the level of a nuclear power plant. But of course, the IAEA developed a service in order to have an evaluation at a national or international level. It is called the Integrated Regulatory Review Service, or IRRS. And it is, and here on this scheme, you can see how it works. It both evaluated technical issues and policy issues. So the technical issues are divided in 10 modules, and we can note here on the fourth one that it is the management of the safety system at the regulatory body. Which is very important for me. It's the policy part, because it helps the regulator or the government to implement the safety standards of the IAEA into the constitution framework of the country. Also, this process, this kind of review, is very modular, so it can adapt to any kind of culture and country. For example, if a country has a developing nuclear program, then only the core values here will be checked, such as who's got the authorization and the license, who's making the inspections for safety. But for a country with a very well-established nuclear program, both core values and safety system inside other facilities, such as waste management facilities or enrichment facilities, will be evaluated. One thing we can discuss is that it seems that the IRRS seems to give us all kinds of information about how a regulator should behave in a nuclear industry. And it gives this information to the regulator. So in some sort, the regulators undergo the mission, and I will say it is less efficient than a real peer review, because the two entities are not equal and one is superior to the other. So it will be very difficult for, or I say, more efficient for people to implement safety standards into their system. Then we have discussed about services to prevent any kind of incident or accident. Here, the Emergency Preparedness Review Service, or EPREV, is a service to assess the emergency plan in case of radioactive releases. So it can evaluate the emergency plan at a nuclear power plant level or at a national level with the regulator. Most of the reports of these services are classified because it deals with accidents, but also sabotage or terrorist attacks. So it is understandable this is classified. With all these reviews we have seen, we can say the IAEA has a very effective way to point out areas of improvement. But it can be more effective if the IAEA will take more into account the culture of its country. So the safety culture and the safety standards will be better implemented inside their framework. At the end, there is the international reporting system. So this service gathers all kinds of reports from accidents, incidents, but also good behaviors. So country members can access to this report in order to improve their safety systems. The only thing is only 31 countries are members of the IRS, so it is very reductive to develop a worldwide nuclear safety system. What could be done is the IAEA could create laws in order for every country to access this data bank, but also the country who are uploading reports will feel safe about their technical secrets in power plants. So now I will let Olaf present to you the first activities of WANO.
Thank you, Hubert. So, the World Association of Nuclear Operators.
WANO. WANO is a very interesting organization. Why? Well, as the name suggests, it's an association of nuclear operators. So all members of WANO are companies who, in day-to-day business, very likely are fierce competitors. So what WANO does is that it unites companies worldwide to strive for the noble goal of improving safety. So, after the two major accidents of Chernobyl and TMI, some very distinctive people in the nuclear industry, they came to realize that insularity between plants and between companies, it leads to stagnation. And stagnation is not good for the development of safety. It's bad for safety and it's bad for profit. So, what they did was they founded WANO, which is like a global self-regulator for the nuclear industry in matters of safety. And most things in the nuclear industry is about safety, so it's a quite important organization. As Hubert mentioned far in the beginning of the presentation, is that the essence of WANO is to share information and share experience. So to promote sharing and develop safety among its members, WANO operates 4 major programs, which are these 4. I will talk about the first 2 and Paolo will finish with the last 2. So, as a member of WANO, you must host and participate in peer reviews. But to evaluate all plants equally, WANO has come up with something they call the standards of excellence, which are like goals set very high up, something for companies to aspire to achieve. Yes, so, but really the beauty of WANO peer reviews lies in the composition of the team, really, because the team members in a peer review, they are all from different companies from all over the world. So it's a varied and changing team composition. And this gives the review teams the ability to assess the influence of both corporate and national culture on the safety management in an organization. And who can be on one of these review teams? Like the requirements are quite rigorous. Like the team leader has to be a CEO or a very senior executive in a company, in a member company, and all other members. He also needs to have like 10 years of experience in the industry, and all other members of the team needs to have at least 5 years of experience. Yes, that's peer reviews. The next major program is technical and support and exchange. It is divided into 4 different activities. The first one is technical support missions, which are really help missions from WANO members to a specific member with a specific problem, which they don't think they can handle in like the time window they want. And then we have the principles of WANO. I will list a couple of them here, and I think I like to stress that sharing information is really a major principle of WANO. And another activity is operator exchange, which is like workshops and seminars where members of WANO can meet and discuss things. And another way to share information is through the performance indicators. So WANO wants all their members to compile certain statistics, which WANO then publish every year. As such, it's like a global average that all members can compare themselves to. So Etienne mentioned it earlier today. He showed something like this, but it's not the same performance indicator, but it's quite similar. This is the number of unplanned automatic scrams per 7,000 hours of criticality. And as we see from the beginning of the 90s, these statistics have improved considerably. And that was like, whatever. It was when WANO was founded, it was in the late 80s. So, yes. Paolo will continue with this part.
So thank you, Olof. I'm going to talk about the third funding programs of WANO operating experience. Before starting the description, I would like to highlight that each member has the responsibility to assess, inform, help, and emulate other nuclear operators. This instrument consists in the reporting of any events significant to the regional center of WANO, which will analyze it and spread it through all the other members. But first of all, it will also verify that potential weak points of the member pointed out by the report are fixed within a certain period. This is very important because to learn from the past is one of the core value of a good safety culture. And so it's fundamental to avoid incident and accident already happened. What to say? A way to improve it is maybe to have a closer cooperation with IAEA in order to point out which are really the most important aspect to be discussed in this report, and maybe spread this argument to a wider portion of nuclear power plants. So this is the last funding programs of WANO, and this is professional and technical development, and it consists in providing a forum to enable its members to compare their operation and emulate their best practice. These services are mainly workshops, seminars, meeting with experts, and training courses. They are pointed towards CEO and managers, but their main goal is not only to give lecture to them, but also to let them start a relationship and to renew their commitment to nuclear safety. This is very important. In fact, to learn from another is one of WANO cornerstone. It's very important and is at the base of a good safety culture. A way to improve it may be also in this case to have a closer cooperation with the IAEA, just in order to point out also in this case which are the main topics to be discussed in these meetings. So to conclude, I think now it's quite clear that cooperation is really the base of a good safety culture, and is really the fundamental step to avoid redundancy, useless redundancy, and maximize their effectiveness. Another aspect to be taken into account is to really take care about the national factor. In fact, every nuclear power plant is very affected by the nation in which it lies. But also, this is one of the core values of the team of the peer review. In fact, different safety culture combined together can bring to a very good results. So, thank you for your attention, and I'm ready for the question.
Thank you for a good overview of the activities of the two agencies, and I would perhaps wished some more say analysis, but I think you've done what you could do to look at possible improvements. It was a really tough task given to you. Certainly a topic that is discussed at meetings during the Nuclear Safety Convention and the IAEA meetings and so forth. Gradually, WANO has begun to be more active in these processes. But this is the fundamental thing. WANO is an industry association. It reports to industry, period. IAEA is an intergovernmental organization that reports to governments, even if, of course, all the review services directed towards plants, they reported to the plant, but also to the government. This is outside really the scope of your task, but there is a fine-tuning. You said the OSAT report is made public after a short period. Yes, the IEA will make the report public after a short period if the government doesn't decide that it should be secret. Yeah, exactly, in a way, and I think that's a nice point that the IEA has made. Otherwise, the IEA would be blamed for secrecy instead of openness, which is now it's up to the government to make a tough decision. Okay, there was one other difference in the tasks of the IEA and the one that I didn't find in your presentation when it comes to important tasks. So you know what you missed with the IEA? Well, their work in nuclear safety. The similarity is that both the IAEA and WANO performs a number of peer review services, but the IAEA does something more. Someone here? No? No? Issuing safety standards. That's the one. Okay, they have their criteria from which, but they do not issue formal safety standards. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, thank you again for a good work.
We finish this thing. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we leave this